Hello and welcome to all my viewers, wherever you may be. I just want to say a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are watching this. As usual, I do my best to bring you an update on the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo concerning the current conflict. Now, what the actual situation is as follows. The US, the EU, the international community are all urging the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo to enter into a dialogue or negotiation with the M23 group. This is something that the government vowed not to do because President Tshisekedi considers the M23 group as a an arm of Kagame in the DRC to commit atrocities, to kill and to loot. And he calls it a terrorist organization and vowed to never engage in a conversation with such a group. But based on the development of the situation, it is more likely that the government will engage in a dialogue or a negotiation with the M23 group. What format that will take, we don't know as yet, but they are referring to two particular diplomatic avenues in order to reach or resolve this issue. Now, it's called the Luanda and Nairobi processes. These are two parallel but complementary diplomatic efforts aimed at resolving the ongoing conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo, particularly particularly in its eastern region. So, what is the Luanda process, which is Angola mediated by the Angola president Joao Lorenzo, representing the International Conference on the Great Lakes of Region? So, the Luanda processes or Luanda process focuses on diplomatic and security solutions, particularly between the DRC and Rwanda, due to accusation that Rwanda supports the M23 rebel group. So here are the key elements. November 2023, a ceasefire agreement aimed to de-escalate tension and secure M23's withdrawal was put in place. And at the same time, there was there was there were calls for an ad hoc monitoring mechanism to ensure compliance. And this process encourages dialogue between Rwanda and the DRC to normalize relations. What about the Nairobi process? This is the one that is led by the Eastern Community Group, EAC, and the East African Community Group or bloc, with Kenya playing a major role. And the current president of Kenya, President Ruto, is very much involved in that process. And what are the key aspects of this? It involves peace talk between the DRC government and various armed groups, led to the deployment of the Eastern African Regional Force in the DRC in late 22 to stabilize Eastern DRC. And this process encourages peaceful disarmament and reintegration of rebel groups. Now, this is very important for you to know. This process in Kenya encourages peaceful disarmament. And that's very, very important. Disarmament and reintegration of rebel groups in society. And that is very, very important because I will come back to it. So the Luanda process has seen its limited success as fighting continues despite ceasefire agreements. The Nairobi process faces setbacks, including disagreement over the role of the EAC troops and limited rebel participation in peace talks. So the M23 group remains active and tensions between DRC and Rwanda persist. So one thing that I want to draw your attention to as far as these processes are concerned, even though even though the international community, the US, the EU, and other organizations are putting emphasis on these two processes in order to bring peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo, we need to understand why the the government in the DRC, who is also backing these two processes, because as far as the government in Congo is concerned, they want the Luanda process to take place, which is basically going to engage the government and the instigator of the M23 group, which is Kagame. He was waited by President Tshisekedi last December in Rwanda. He never showed up. He didn't want to go because, as far as Kagame is concerned, the Luanda process is in favor of the DRC. Kagame doesn't really like Lorenzo, the president of Angola, to lead this process. He favors the Eastern African community, which is led by Ruto. Now, it is a difficult situation because the the Nairobi process is in fact going to ask the armed group to be disarmed and reintegrate the society. This is what the Democratic Republic of Congo wants.